All right, so freight is down. A lot of doors are closing on businesses, trucking companies specifically, and a lot of owner operators are leaving the market. And maybe you that's watching this video is confused on what you should do next, right? I mean, I'm reading all over, all on Facebook, posts, articles, all type of things where trucking companies that's been open for years, 10, 15, 20 years plus are closing their doors, right? A lot of owner operators are just getting out of the business. If you go on Facebook Marketplace right now, this is one of the easy ways, indicator that you can follow to tell how the industry is doing, which is tracking truck prices, right? Not specifically the brand new trucks, because that can trick you. Because a lot of the big companies, right, the companies that owns 100, 200, 300, 500 units, they buy these new trucks. I'm talking about more so of your own operators, right? Guys that's only have 1 to 2 to 3 trucks at most. Okay, they are selling their trucks for dirt cheap, and they're saying it. They're putting it right in the post that they're not making money, they're struggling, they're going through it. They, open another business, whatever, whatever, right? So in this video, we're going to go over some numbers specifically for the RGN, what I have been doing for the last couple of weeks, how much money I've been making specifically, and what should you do, right? We'll go over some things after that to talk about, some strategies maybe you can put in place on how you can run your business. Maybe you're just now coming into the business, or you maybe want to make a move in the business. Maybe you want to buy your first truck. You don't have your first truck yet. Or maybe you do have your truck and you're trying to figure out, do you start your own authority? Do you, lease it on? Do you, what should you do, right? Do you hire a dispatcher? Should you dispatch yourself? All these type of things, right? Well, we're going to get into that in this video, but first we're going to switch over and I'm going to show you a spreadsheet of some real exact numbers that I have been running myself with a truck that I just recently bought. Go check out my YouTube video. I just bought a truck off of Facebook Marketplace for right around $7,000. Done a little work to it and put it right on the road with this specific truck. It's on a RGN tandem axle 29 in the well, and I'm running it just in the down south area of the United States. And we're going to go over what I've made in the last couple of weeks, the exact loads I pulled, where I picked them up from, where I delivered. Was they oversized? Was they not oversized? We're going to get into it all. All right. So let's get straight into that. All right, so here you see this is towards the end of January, because I had a previous video that I recorded. I think I did it on live, I believe, and you can go watch that video, which was basically a market update, and I showed exactly what that truck has been making, from the start of the year 2026, and I have it in some other videos as well, right? But as of right now, once again, just the same truck. Pay $6,000, $7,000 for it, right? Go watch the videos. I have it on there. And basically, this is a spreadsheet that I have for this specific truck. And this truck made right at overall, gross numbers, $13,075. Okay. The first load came out of Borg, Louisiana, and went to Tampa, Florida, and the rate was 10,575 for the exact load. The empty miles was 90 miles. The loaded miles was 75 miles. Okay, and on that, the escorts was $1,578 for the escort, and the permits was 304. Okay, that's what brought it, down, that number down. All right. But total, all in all, on that load was $14.59 per mile. And then we got a backhaul. We brought that down to Tampa, Florida. A lot of people do not like going into Florida. I don't know why. If you have a good enough rate going into Florida with the right trailer, you can get something coming out of Florida sometimes, right? We was blessed to get something coming out of Florida. Went right up to Ocala, Florida, which was 98-mile deadhead, which was, I believe it was on a Thursday we picked up that load. It went 760 miles and it paid $2,500. Okay, so that paid $3.29 per loaded mile, right? Yep, per loaded mile for that load. Okay, all in all, total miles was 1,673 all miles. That's empty and loaded miles. Total gross was $13,075. This is what we made after permits and escorts, right? 11,000 for that week. Okay, so let's go to the next week, which was pretty good week as well. So once we delivered up there in Louisiana, we went on ahead and did head over to Texas. I had some business to take care of in Texas. So I actually delivered that day, which was a Monday, took the rest of the day off, did head over to Wascom, I believe it was, or something like that. I had to go to the DMV, deal with some things, and took him some stuff up there. Actually, because I just opened up a new authority in Texas. All praise the Most High Yah for that. And so we had to go take care of some business with that and actually go to the DMV. Sat around all day, right? All day. And right around 2:30, a load popped up and it was paying going from Tatum, Texas to Houston, Texas. Empty miles was, 144 miles because I calculated all the way from Louisiana to this load, right? And total loaded miles was only 202 miles because it went right there to Houston. Okay, paid $4,000, and the escort, I paid the escort $400 on that, and the permit was $60. All right, I know that by heart, easy, and that was $4,000. For that load, it was it was, what was it, 14, 15 wide, or I think it was like 15 wide. That's it. Wasn't heavy, wasn't long, wasn't tall, just was a wide load. Pretty simple, easy load, okay? But right after that, after we delivered, chilled out the rest of the day, went to the gym, got something good to eat. And the very next day, we picked up in Freeport, Texas, brought it back to Houma, Louisiana. That went 378 loaded miles, 45 miles empty miles, and that paid $1,700. Simple load. Now that load was, I believe it was a little heavy. Actually, it wasn't. It wasn't heavy. It was illegal. It was oversized for the tires, I believe. So the permits was just $100. 6 hours for Texas and right at like 2030 with the service fee and everything for Louisiana, and that was it. So for the week total for that, we only ran 769 miles, and we totaled out at $5,700 before permits and escorts, 5,100 after. All right. So pretty simple, So the market is not that bad, and I know a lot of you looking at this like, oh man, you're doing really good. Well, we're gonna get into that, and I'm gonna explain some things as what's going on with the load, loads right now, right? This week right here, we're gonna finish out with, Houma, Louisiana, went up to Little Rock. It was 13. It was actually 13.6 wide, but it was total height on it was 1511. Okay, so we needed a height pole in Louisiana and Arkansas. Okay, so for that, the load paid. Well, we negotiated them all the way up to 7,600 because when we went picked up the load, it wasn't supposed to be over height, but it was. That's a whole nother story in itself. So I had to negotiate them up to 7,600, right? Empty miles was 85, loaded miles was 470, and we did for the escorts 2,200 and the permits 184. That wasn't bad. It took us 2 days to run this load. Okay, that wasn't bad at all, right? And then we picked up 20 miles up the road with a small little dozer. It's 10 wide. It's like 20 something thousand pounds. It's very light, and went from Bryant, Arkansas to Hockley, Texas, 431 miles just to keep the wheels moving or whatever like that. and 21 empty miles. So all together, it was 1,006 miles. Grossed out for the week, 9,600. After permits and everything, it was right at $7,051. Okay, so that was the money for the last couple weeks, right? Oh, pretty good. Definitely could be better. Um, but it's pretty good, pretty decent. Wheels still moving. We're getting some decent lows. It seems like it's kind of like a hit or miss. Being in the right place. You definitely for the RGN loads. We've definitely have to be we've been having to been patient and really stalk the load board very hard. None of my customers that I get direct freight from, usually throughout the year, they haven't been having anything. I quoted some loads for them. We didn't win the loads. I usually get a lot. I have about 7 different customers that I pull for throughout the year direct with them. I usually, when they call me, I pull a freight, and it kind of keeps me off of the load board entirely for my RGNs. But they haven't been having nothing. I usually pull AC units out of Hatchburg, Mississippi. They haven't been having nothing. I usually pull, clam buckets out of North Louisiana. Nothing. I usually pull I usually get a lot of different machines go down the floor, the oversized. None of this stuff been moving. All of these loads been coming directly off of the load board, um, and that's what we've been running. Okay, the step decks, it's been hit or miss with that. It hasn't been bad, but the market has definitely been soft. Texas, I don't know what's been going on with Texas. I had a truck stay in Texas the entire week this week. They had no loads paying decent money, just decent money going out of Texas, like leaving the state of Texas, going back to like just Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, stuff like that. It's just been really slow. I don't know what it is. But that's been the market, right? So what about you, right? What could you do? Maybe you're just starting out and you're looking to get in the market and you don't really know what to do. Maybe you have a truck, right? Maybe you're on operator already, but you're just trying to figure out, what should you do? Should you get into heavy haul or oversized loads or open deck loads? Should you pivot from the dry van on a reefer, or should you stay into it? Maybe you're on your last leg, and or you believe that you should dip out and pivot out. Well, I'm gonna say this: hold tight, hold the line. If you're already in it, hold the line. They have enough money out there for you to make and pay. Take care of your business, pay your bills, and take care of yourself. If you are just starting out and you're looking to get into business, and should you buy a truck? I would say yes, but understand, go buy you a feasible truck. Do not go out there and get into something that has a very high note on it. If you can buy something cash and get it out the way and be done with it, do that. Right? Go on Facebook Marketplace. A lot of trucks on Facebook Marketplace are very, very cheap right now. Be patient. Be willing to take a ride and go get the truck and check the truck out yourself with a mechanic, whatever like that. But do that. You definitely, definitely, definitely want to do that. And try to get your truck anywhere from $7,000 to $15,000 cash. A lot of people, they're like, oh man, those cheap trucks ain't worth nothing. Let me tell you something. The trucks that are selling today for $7,000 to $15,000 today, that used to be a $20,000 truck, $20,000 to $30,000 truck a couple years ago or more. If it was around the pandemic time, it probably was a $40,000 to $50,000 truck. Okay. But before the pandemic, these same trucks was double in price. So don't be fooled and think that, oh, it's cheap, so it's not worth anything. No, trucks are just cheap. They're just cheap right now. It is what it is. They're cheap right now. A lot of owner operators are getting out the business. They can't survive because they, for whatever reason, they bought this equipment at the height of the pandemic and or after the pandemic, and when money was just going around everywhere, people just buying up everything and getting all these loans and everything. And now they can't pay for it. Now they can't pay for their trailers, or they living behind their means or whatever like that. So they getting out the business, right? They don't. A lot of people have gotten into trucking. They don't know about trucking. They don't know how to be an owner operator. They haven't been through. They don't have the wisdom to withstand what's going on right now, right? But for you, first thing first, get you some equipment that you can afford. Okay, if you do go get equipment that you're gonna have a note on it, make sure you get it as low as possible. I tell anybody, if you truck and trailer together, try to stay under $1,500 a month. Okay, that could be hard to do, but try to do that. Try to keep your insurance under 2,000 a month. You want to max out on everything 4,000 a month. That's what you want to max out, right? 4,000 is very high, not very high, but it could be pretty expensive between insurance and the your truck. No, and this is for my guys that's running under their own authority. Okay, uh, but once again, try to get the truck and trailer paid for. Okay. Now, if you're already in the game and you're trying to figure out, well, what do you do next? How do you make money? How do you survive to where when the market really turns around and it really flips and money really gets great? I know that I just went over these numbers and it probably looks really good to you. Yes. But understand that I am experienced in this. I know how to book these loads. I have good dispatchers on my team. I have a system that I run, right? And by the way, now that I'm saying that, maybe you want to come join our team. You can lease on to us if you want to, right? If you want to, we can help you. We have good dispatchers. We have a system that we run. It's not guaranteed to make money, a lot of money, but it's guaranteed to get the best out of the market. I will say that. But let's say you already in the game and you're trying to figure out, well, what do you do next? Well, maybe you need to lease on somewhere, right? Whether it's, for a big company that's going to hold your hand like Landstar, something like that, American Transport, something like that. Well, if you can get hired on with them, which a lot of them is very, very hard to lease on with them and get hired on as a driver. If you can lease on to a big company like that where they'll hold your hand, maybe you can do that. Maybe, they'll cover the bills for you. You don't really have to come out of nothing, out of pocket for any money, anything like that to get up and rolling. Maybe do that. Don't complain about the lease fee because they're going to be, 20 to 30% lease fee. But what's going to happen is you're going to be able to leverage what they have to get started, right? Maybe maybe you get rid of the truck that you have now and downsize to some cheap equipment. Maybe that's an option. Maybe you have a RGN that's costing you too much. I've had a couple of them. The big 4 axles with the flip axle on the back and all that. And that stretch RGN with the 4 axle, right? Well, that trailer was costing me a lot of money. And when the market dipped down, I had to bring those trailers back and regroup. Maybe you have to do that. Do whatever you have to do to get the expenses low, right? So, because they have loads, the loads sometimes are just not paying the money, right? Big money, okay? But if you lower your expenses and you go to work, okay, you will make money. You will make a good enough profit to where you can keep the wheels rolling. You can keep the maintenance up on your truck. You can keep your doors open on your business. And when you do that, you'll stay in business. And by you staying in business, when the market does turn around, you will still be in business. All right. So with that being said, I hope you liked the video. If so, smash the like button. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel, man. And if you disagree or agree with anything I've said today, or you think the numbers is a lie, like a lot of people have been saying in the comments or whatever like that, leave me a comment. And for those that you have already left me some comments telling me about this $7,000 truck, well, it's still rolling, man. It just made, 10 grand the other week. So yeah, man. Well, with that being said, shalom, shalom, peace, peace.